Northwest Cavalryman Show, the podcast where your host, Rick Skolrud, discusses politics and news from Canada, the United States, and around the world, from a conservative perspective. Warning: professionally offended people and liberal crybabies may be triggered. Viewer discretion is advised. While we put the finishing touches on this podcast, you are invited to visit the show notes. There are links to all of Rick's social media, including his website where you can sign up to take the Canadian Firearms Safety Course, which is a prerequisite for obtaining your Canadian firearms license, also known as a PAL. Rick teaches these courses in Maple Bay, just east of Duncan on Vancouver Island, British Columbia. Now here's your host, Rick Skolrud.
Hey everybody, how's it going today? Forgot to turn my mic on again. One of those silly things I often do. So let's start off with a sound check. Make sure that everything is coming through nice and clear. If anybody can give me a thumbs up, let me know how things are sounding. Okay, just hang on for a second. Okay, so so I think it was good, and then I had my channel up, so it was probably going to give a bit of a feedback or an echo, so I turned that off. So that should be good. So hello everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? Let's see who we have here. We have David. We did have a fella named Mighty. What was that? Mighty to Save. And then we have David FL. Nelson, how you doing, Nelson? Harley, how you doing? Moist Noodler, how you doing? Angela, how are you tonight? And Chad from Ohio. SA Bound. So, how are you doing tonight? You and them. How are you? And Snoozy Edwards. And Jessica. Hello, Jessica, all the way from Florida. Made in Foxtrap. That's an interesting name. I don't think I've seen it here before. So, yeah, we've got a lot of things happening in Canadian politics, obviously, this week because of the election, and then the aftermath, the fallout, as it were. Hello, David from Kelowna. So basically, let's start by going to this map here, this election map. As you can see from this map, there's not a lot of red past Ontario. I know one person looked at this map and said, "Hey, how come there's so much red in northern Saskatchewan? How come that's all red?" Well, that's because it's just one riding. That's huge. It's a huge riding. Takes up more than half of the province, but there's not that many people there. So I think that kind of answers that question. But as you can see, the West went blue. Now I think before this, you saw a whole bunch of maps where the BC was looking like it was red. But that was because of all of these, let's focus in here. Because of all of these ridings, oops, that's not it. All of these ridings in the lower mainland and all of the people there. So sad to say, I actually live in one of these ridings here. I don't live in there anymore. I grew up in one of these ridings. My hometown is in Delta. Sad to say. It used to be a very conservative place, and now it's not. Now it's not conservative. Hasn't been conservative ever since Twinkle Toes, Sparkly Socks got in. So that's, I think, well, pretty sad. I think personally. It's pretty sad. It's very interesting here, though, that the Richmond area or a part of Richmond went blue. So I'm happy about that. You see here also on a map, we see Calgary and how Calgary basically blue, but I think it's just one riding went red, which is interesting. And then the island. I'm happy about the island going as blue as it did. I wish it would have went bluer. I think that I know that I think it's David from Moose on the Loose is probably not happy that his riding went orange again. And then we have down near Victoria, we have the Victoria area, red, solid red, light red. And then, of course, Tizzy Lizzie having her riding as green. So interesting to see. I would have liked this all to be blue, to be honest with you. And I think that most of the people who watch my channel would have thought the same. Looks like a few other people have been joining in. Michael Kennedy, how you doing? Baya, I know I never get your name right. Baya, and then Tracy. Hello, Tracy, just up the road from me. JCP, how are you doing tonight? Drew Clark on Bedspring Island, BC. I'm going to have to look and see where that is. Are you, is that a nickname do you have for it? The Salt Spring, maybe? I don't know. Hello, D. Zawalik. And I know I'm butchering that name. I'm sorry about that. And yeah, I guess I think that's everybody who has signed in or has checked in so far. So these maps, of course, were a little bit disappointing. East of Saskatchewan, basically, or really, well, let's take a look at this here panned out. I think that we did as good as we could have in Manitoba as well. But when we get to the east, that looks like it's a lot more than lot more red than what I kind of expected in Ontario. Maybe that is the GTA. I thought that the GTA was smaller than that physically, but of course a lot of people. And then Quebec, I would have liked to see more orange and light blue in Quebec, because I know that there's not much dark blue that we can get out there. And but I am happy that some places in the Maritimes went conservative. Although nobody on PEI, which PEI should only have one representative and maybe share a second one with New Brunswick. But I've talked about that in the past. So I think we all know where I stand there. But hey, that's just the way it is. So, of course, since the election, there's been a lot of finger pointing and people thinking that Pierre should have done things differently. I actually think that he did a very good job. Could he have done things differently? Absolutely. After the fact, it's really easy to come to those conclusions. Hello, Sheila. Yeah, it's very easy to criticize after the fact, being a Monday morning quarterback and all. So I don't think that we should be too tough on him. But some of the commentators, especially in the U.S., are really quite upset with him. Almost more upset than we are up here, which is surprising, I think. PBD, Patrick Bet David, and Viva Frei. Viva Frei, of course, is a Canadian, but he lives down in Florida. And they're not happy with how Pierre ran his campaign. I think they're being a little too hard on him, though. Personally, I think they're being a little too hard on him. Hello, Brad. Hello, Billy. Thank you very much, Brad, for that. I think they're being a bit too hard on him. They're saying that he should have went on all of these American podcasts. And yes, that probably would have helped. Hello, Suzanne. probably would have helped, but not if they went to all of the conservative podcasts. Because I know that PBD was saying he should have come on the PBD podcast, but really PBD is a conservative podcast. So who would he have been reaching that wasn't already voting for him? I mean, that's kind of the big question. I think that he should have done quite a bit more cultural podcasts, I guess. Hello, Goko. I think that would have helped. More of the non or just slightly political podcasts where, people of all ages, and so different podcasts, people of all ages would have tuned into and heard his message. And I thought that his message got out there pretty well. I mean, when they started talking about some of the things on PBD and on Viva Frei that they thought that people didn't know about, I thought, well, how did people not know about this? It was very well known, at least in the circles that I travel in, or I listen to, I watch on social media. So I think that I think it was maybe a good point that maybe he should have gone on to different podcasts. Hello, Janet. Because if people weren't getting this message, then it needed to get out there. Viva Frei didn't think that people all knew that Carney had 3 passports. I thought that was common knowledge. Viva Frei didn't think that Carney was basically responsible for the economics that we've been in, the economic situation we've been in for the past 10 years, because he's been advising Justin Trudeau for at least the last 5. I thought everybody knew that. I thought that was common knowledge. The strategy, hello Bonnie, hello Bobcat and Brian. Bogcat, sorry, I always say that wrong. Bogcat, why? Yeah, I think that it is. I thought that was all common knowledge, and I thought it was getting out there. But if it wasn't, then maybe he should have gotten out more. One of the things that Viva Frei thought is that Poilievre should have leaned into his heavier, harsher side and not tried to smooth it out for the general population. I'm not sure if that was. I'm not sure if that would have been a good idea or not, because a lot of the female voters apparently didn't like Poilievre because he was so harsh. Hello, my daddy. A cute name. Okay. Hard to say that name when I'm on the podcast here and not crack up. So I think that it is a little bit hard to say that people weren't getting that message, but should he have leaned into the harsher side of things? Should he have attacked Carney more? I definitely think he should have attacked Carney more. I don't know that attacking Trump was, Trump said afterwards, which I don't agree with, that Poilievre hated him more than Carney did. I don't think that Poilievre attacked Trump all that harshly at all. He said a few things, big deal. Hello, Annette. So Annette says that she loves Pierre Poilievre. I just don't think, I'm not sure if leaning into what he was doing in question period would have worked or not. But I would have liked to see it personally, because I didn't find him too harsh in question period. I found that he had a really good sense of humor, and he was able to bring out all of the necessary points, sometimes with a sense of humor, and sometimes it sounded harsh. But really, when you listened to question period, the other people in question period were quite a bit harsher than Pierre was. Like, like Jagmeet Singh calling him a bootlicker. Well, I think that calling somebody a bootlicker is a lot harsher than coming up with Maserati Marxist as a retort, because, I mean, Maserati Marxist was timely and it was funny, and I don't think it was harsh. Calling somebody a bootlicker, well, that's pretty harsh and not very, I don't know, just no, it's kind of low class. It's kind of really, bottom of the barrel type stuff. Hello, North Saskatchewan guy. So, and 7 Spot, how are you? Excuse me. Sorry about that. Roll the Dice just joined us. How are you? From Southern Ontario. So I don't think he did anything wrong. Could he have gotten out more in front of the more mainstream crowd? Possibly. Would he have been welcome in Canada on the more mainstream crowd? I don't know. Hello, Tio. Hello, Wizard Kings. It's odd. It's hard to know, but he made a lot of gains. It just wasn't enough. And I think that there were some shenanigans, especially in the in Carleton, because and that guy who started this he's like I don't know, he's barely old enough to vote, and he got like 90 some people on the ballot there. I think that was just I think he should be he interfered with the election, I think. Now, did he do anything wrong? Probably not. Probably didn't do any sort of criminal act, but it was underhanded and it was dirty. But there's one thing that came up, and I don't know how true it is. I think that there was one guy who kept on asking people who, when they went in to vote, if they were going to vote for the Liberal guy. So he was kind of pushing the Liberal on him, and he was a worker at the polling station. So that should nullify all of the ballots in that polling station, and that should be redone. Maybe there'd be enough for Poilievre to get his seat. Hello, Eva. You have a question. How long does it take to get your PAL? Okay, so kind of off topic, but I'll just go into that for just a half second because you asked. It varies. I've had some people get their PAL within a month, and other people, it's been the better part of a year. There was one of my students, he was a police officer, but he was originally from Pakistan, and it took him over a year because they had to do checks all the way going back to Pakistan. Hello, Gene. But hey, you know what? If anybody lives on Vancouver Island and they want to get their PAL, I do have 2 courses that I've set up with a grand total of 1 student each so far. So I would like to really build up some of my student base in those courses, particularly the one in May here, because it's coming up and I only have 1 student, and it's coming up on May the 24th and 25th. So if you're in around this area, you want to take your PAL, come on down. Hello, Norwood Cooper. So let's talk about some of the controversies that are going on. Well, of course, people are now saying that Pierre should step down. And as I said, I don't think he should. I think that he did a good job. I think that there were some shenanigans, and I think that he represents the party well. Maybe people will argue with me and say that he made too many mistakes and that he should step down. I don't think so. I think that he should stick to it. The sad part about it is somebody's going to have to give up their seat. So somebody who wanted a career in politics is going to have to give up their seat eventually. That's the sad part about it. There's casualties in everything. Hello, Yentels Bagels. That's too bad, but it is what it is. So, yeah, I don't like that, but I do believe that he was good for the Conservative Party, he was good for the House. And this was brought up by Vassie in an interview she did with Andrew Scheer. And just take a listen to this.
He had to say.
Tim Houston said the Conservatives are pushing more people away than pulling in. These are Conservatives. This isn't me just making it up.
It's just demonstrably false by the facts. I mean, the facts are
I don't know why I'm not.
It doesn't make sense.
Why didn't Pierre Poilievre have talked to Tim Houston or talk to Doug Ford? Isn't that weird?
You can't simultaneously say we push people away when we got more votes. That's just factually incorrect. That doesn't work on a mathematical level. I don't know what else to say. I mean, we got more votes, we got a higher percentage, we won more seats. Clearly, we weren't pushing people away. We reached historic highs. That's just a nonsensical statement that doesn't hold up to a second's worth of scrutiny.
So is this...
Okay, we're back. Did that come through? Did everybody hear that? I think that I have some sort of an issue with my headphones. Too soft. Only thing anyone can handle. Okay. So good. Brad gave me the thumbs up. Let's see if I have things worked set here properly on my end. Yeah, it looks like everything is set up on my end. I don't know what's going on. Maybe, yeah, it should be fine. Oh, well, I'm not hearing, but doesn't matter. I don't really have to hear it. I've heard it earlier. Why it's not working now, don't know. Maybe these aren't turned on. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. Weird. Every time I turn on this computer, something else fails on me. I've been trying. I'm saving up for a new computer, but I also need new carpet, and I need a lot of shiplap for the ceiling. So, I mean, what do I buy first? Probably, I probably should actually go and get a computer before I finish everything else up, because then I could make a little bit more money, possibly, or would be better doing this. I don't think that she had a good argument there. Vassie had a good argument there that people always step down. If you go back to the days of Joe Clark, I think he stayed on after he lost, and of course Pierre Trudeau stayed on after he lost. So, hello, Chris. My life, haha, drywall, haha, yes. I got to do a lot of that too. So, I do think that Pierre's earned some more time at the helm, and I do think that that it'll be better. I'm wondering why he didn't just stick to running in Alberta. To be honest with you, I know that he met his wife in, Ontario, in Ottawa, and maybe that had something to do with it. Maybe he always ran out east, but I think that it would have been probably good for him to go back home to Alberta and run as an Alberta boy, because he's an Alberta boy. But there's also lots of controversy between Jamil Jivani and Big Dougie Ford. I always like to call him Big Dougie Ford for some reason, because this is just this is, I don't know, Big Dougie Ford. I can't take that man seriously for some reason. I just can't. But here's something that Jamil had to say about him.
Jivani, who won that, and Jamil Jivani winning again tonight. Congratulations,
Thank you very much. Yeah, we have a great team here in Bowmanville, Oshawa North. Very excited and happy to bring home a victory.
I do want to ask you, Mr. Jivani, because you've just spoken to your supporters, a large group that's here at the pub here in Bowmanville, North Oshawa, and you said to them, among other things, that Doug Ford was a problem for you in this campaign. You said that he sabotaged the Conservative campaign. That's your words. You said he was a hype man for the Liberals. Take me through how you see that.
Yeah, well, look, Doug Ford just went through an election. I have differences of opinion with him. I don't like how he's managed healthcare or education, but out of respect, we didn't say anything. Federal party, we didn't get in his way. When it was our turn to run an election, he couldn't stay out of our business, always getting his criticisms and all his opinions out, distracting our campaign, trying to make it about him, trying to position himself as some kind of political genius that we needed to be taking cues from.
Was it him specifically? Was it his campaign manager, Corey, tonight? Do you see Doug Ford as a problem for the federal party in the outcome of this race?
I see Doug Ford as a problem for Ontario and for Canada. I think he's not doing a great job in running this province, and now he's trying to exercise his influence over other levels of government, and it's not like this guy is doing anything particularly well. I mean,
you did used to work for him.
I did. I'm speaking from experience. I tried to fix problems in this province, and he kept getting in his way and all his goons around him all the time. They wouldn't make anything better, and now we're seeing him because this guy's a political genius because he beat Bonnie Crombie and Stephen Del Duca, and now we got to sit around getting advice from him? No. He has taken the provincial Conservative Party and turned it into something hollow, unprincipled, something that doesn't solve problems. He's glad-handing with Chrystia Freeland, having coffees and lattes with Mark Carney, and I'm sitting here saying we need to be fighting for change and something new and something different, not being a hype man to the Liberal Party.
Some would argue that the challenge...
Jamel, he does get worked up. I love it. That was good. Hello, Kenzie. Hello, Parabellum. And Mr. Parabellum, and who else just, somebody else just checked in as well. Sheba Kobe, hello, how are you doing? So I thought that was quite funny, but something else was quite funny as well, because Jamel wouldn't let it go, and I think this was very funny as well. Oh, big Dougie Ford there. A meme of him ripping off his shirt like a wrestler and showing that he's not really a progressive conservative, but he's actually a liberal. When you can think of it, though, progressive and conservative, do they really go together? I don't know. Hello, Andre. But yeah, I thought that was quite hilarious. He did a good job of that. But it is, I think that is a perfect meme for Big Dougie Ford. So the last couple of clips that I have to do with my video of yesterday, which was seen by probably most people today. But it has to do with this citizens initiative, because I'm getting a whole bunch of questions about how would Alberta go about separating if they wanted to? Well, I mean, that's I think set. The process is set. Let's take a look at what Danielle Smith said, and then what a constitutional lawyer, Keith Wilson, said.
And accessible. We are expanding opportunities for Albertans to be involved in direct democracy by making changes to the threshold needed for successful citizens' initiatives. The signature collection time for citizens' initiatives will be extended from 90 days to 120 days. We are also improving the process by setting the threshold to be 10% of the number of eligible voters who participated in the last general election, as opposed to being either 10 or 20% of total registered voters. Additionally,
so that I thought was interesting. So I think that if anybody suggests that that's not a power move on behalf of Danielle Smith to say to Ottawa, look, we've got the mechanisms in place, so come to the table and deal with us like adults. I think that's kind of what she's saying there. Hello, The Fixer. How are you today? And Sherry F. or Cher F. Lynn, how are you? Yep. So, I think that was a power move. I don't think that she necessarily supports separation, but she's making it easier for people to express their opinions if that is what they want. But it is basically, I think, very much a power move. So that is very interesting. Now, how would that exactly work? And this is something that I also put out yesterday, or for today's video, or yesterday's video. So let's take a look at this gentleman. He's a constitutional lawyer from Edmonton, so he knows what he's doing. Hello, Larry.
Like Mark Carney. So, Keith, I'm wondering if you can maybe help us see what's going to happen next. I don't want you to make a prediction, but what do you see happening in days and weeks? What's going to happen from a legal perspective? And do you think this movement is going to take off from here?
So, first of all, I'm fortunate to have known Premier Smith prior to her being Premier. I first met her and worked with her 20-some years ago, maybe 27 years ago, when she was the executive director of a property rights institute in Alberta. And I've gotten to know her. And fundamentally, she believes in democracy. And she believes in grassroots democracy in the sense that the people should decide, that she's the leader of the people, but the people should set the direction. So I think that's what you're seeing here with the increasing the tools that citizens have to give direction to their government. In terms of next steps, it's not, the legislation sets out a very rigid and formal process for citizen-initiated petition. And it's not just any piece of paper. It's not just any website. There will be no digital. It's going to have to be actual forms that are obtained from our chief electoral office and sanctioned and approved with a clear question. And specific forms will be issued, and organizations will then go out and try and secure the signature, the address and the phone number and the name of the individual and get the sufficient number. I think that process is going to start fairly soon. And I'm optimistic that that number will be achieved. And then what will happen is if we do surpass the 177,000 mark, then the government will be obligated to schedule and hold a referendum. We do have municipal elections previously scheduled that are going to occur in October of this year. As to whether the timing would line up to hold the provincial referendum on separation at that time, I don't know. Too early to tell. And then on top, so that would then...
Wow. That's coming up fast. And so would it just be a simple majority, like 50 plus 1? Or
yeah, so how that works, Candice, is under the Supreme Court of Canada ruling codified in the Federal Clarity Act, is that the referendum, so let's just say for argument's sake that things do move that quickly, and there is a provincial referendum on separation in Alberta in October in conjunction with our municipal elections, province-wide. What would then happen is if that passed in the affirmative with a clear majority of Albertans on a clear question, then it triggers a positive legal duty on the federal government, the provincial governments, and First Nations to enter into negotiations with Alberta as to the terms of Alberta leaving Confederation. No one can sit it out. No one has a veto. They can't just say, well, I'm not coming. The First Nations can't say, no way, we're not interested. They have to participate. That's what the law is in Canada, as confirmed by the Supreme Court of Canada. And the details will be worked on. It may be for the First Nations that they decide they want to keep their lands federal, and there'll be these little enclaves and continue to be ruled and administered by Ottawa. But that hasn't worked out so well for them either, for many of them. They may want to and Alberta could step into the shoes in the treaties and honor them, or they may want to negotiate a whole new relationship. That would all be on the table. And part of that agreement would include each province agreeing to pass a resolution in their legislature confirming the terms of separation and succession, which would then meet the requirements for amending the Constitution. That is a step. But then we've got the wild card, Donald J. Trump, real estate mogul, likes to acquire things. Alberta has the third largest reserves of oil and gas. We have most of our cattle that's produced all goes to the United States. A lot of agricultural products go to the United States. We have a north-south trade, not an east-west trade, in terms of our economy. He could be stepping in at various times as he tends to, and he may make some kind of offer that will completely change the dynamic of the sentiment in Alberta, as well as the negotiations with the rest of Canada.
Well, a few more people have joined in since last said. Luann, how are you? Chickadee joined in. I don't know if I said hello to Chris yet, but hello, Chris. I think that was about it. Larry Porter. Yeah, Larry Porter, that was the other person. So welcome all. So I'm curious as to, hey, Tiger Eye, another person just joined in. So Danielle Smith has this new basic new numbers. She didn't introduce new legislation, but I'm pretty sure this still has to go through the provincial legislature. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think that it is. I don't think it is law yet. I think it has to go through the session. Hello, Janny. So what would the timeline be like that? Well, they only sit for what is it? Like 4 months, 5 months out of the year, or something like that. I'm not sure how long they sit in the fall or in the spring, but they don't sit all that long. So they, if they initiate it now, it'll probably be done before summer. So a lot of people say, well, it's already started, but the thing is they have to have it on official paper. They have to have handwritten or, basically you got to sign it in person. I guess they're going to check the ID, your address and whatnot, probably check it against driver's licenses and whatnot. They'll probably have some backup database where they can check to make sure you haven't signed more than once, because 177,000 signatures are a lot of signatures to go over. I mean, are you going to be able to, you got to have some sort of a database to make sure people don't sign more than once, I guess. But there's already that many people. Hello, Jim. There's already that many people who have signed other initiatives. The Alberta Prosperity Project, I think that's what it's called. They already have more than that many signatures they want to force a referendum. Now that won't work because they'll have to go back and get those people to re-sign on the actual paper. But I think that would only take a couple of gatherings, a couple of rallies to do that, because within a few days of the election, they had so many people already signing up for this. So I think that is possible. So Vikram Singh, Mr. Singh, said that they have over 200 collected already. I don't think those 200,000 actually count for the reasons I'm saying, but they will obviously get those names. People will sign again on the official form and they'll submit it. The question is, are they just going to submit it as soon as they get the 177, or do they have to wait the full 4 months? It doesn't really matter if they will wait the full 4 months, as long as this gets to the people. And you never know, if it gets to the people and it gets on the October, which I don't think that they can make October, but let's say they could. If it makes the October, municipal elections and it passes somehow, that would be pretty cool, because then you would think that all of this legislation that's coming in from Ottawa, well, that could actually technically or possibly be put on hold. I mean, if you think about it, if Alberta says, no, we're separating, you can't come in and steal our citizens' guns because they're no longer really citizens anymore, for example, that could work out well for people in Alberta. It won't help me any because I cannot afford to move there with a house half finished and only being able to work on it for a couple of weeks or a couple of days out of the month. So because I have to save up money to buy materials and stuff. So that's not going to help me any. They're still going to come and steal all of my property, but that is what it is. But that time frame may work out it may actually work out well for people in Alberta who have firearms that the government wants to steal. Who knows? But then there's going to be a negotiation. And a lot of people are saying, well, what if people don't sign on to it? Well, it's not a matter of not signing on to it. And it's not a matter of the provinces refusing to put forward a resolution accepting it. According to Keith Wilson there in his little speech or a little presentation to Candice Malcom, there's no veto. You can't veto it. It is what it is. So there's just a matter of, how are they going to separate the wealth? Well, really, Alberta has all the wealth. So it's a matter of Ottawa giving back to Alberta, essentially, giving back the pensions. So the pensions will now be run by Alberta or managed by a company that Alberta approves. So if it's all held by, let's say, Brookfield, maybe they can change that to some other company, or they could have it managed themselves in the interim, which, a big asset management company probably would be best. So there's that. There's also the talk about, well, what about healthcare? Well, healthcare I don't see as a real issue. If you still want socialist healthcare, which isn't the best, healthcare is handled by the provinces and paid by the provinces. So they could still have Alberta healthcare if they wanted. Or they can go to a more efficient private system. Would it cost more? Well, if you don't get insurance, it would definitely put you at higher risk. But I don't think that, I'm not sure that it would cost all that much more, especially if there was, a semi-public system. So there's that. I was thinking about this one possibility of getting this moving forward if people wanted to get it moved forward, is that, this summer would be a perfect time to migrate to Alberta if you're a conservative. You might not be there in time to sign the petition, but as long as you're there in time to establish residency for voting purposes, well, you might be able to vote for it if you want. And you would definitely benefit from it if it went through. And when you think about it, if there are 600,000, if 30% of the eligible voters comes out to 600,000 people, but 10% came out to 177,000 people who were not only eligible but actually did participate. If you think about the participation rate, well, that would mean that there would be 1,770,000 people who were actually participating in the last election. If you could extrapolate that out to being similar to what may occur this time, then you could imagine that there would be, let's say, 200,000 people actually participating in the vote. So you need 1 million so 2 million people participating in the vote, you would need 1 million plus one person voting for it. Well, if they're already getting 30%, so they're already achieving 600,000 people wanting to separate, really only 400,000 people need to migrate to Alberta this summer. I know, just a little bit of math off the top of my head, and it's kind of goofy, but hey, you know what? If you're looking for a change, and if you can afford it, if you live out of a mobile home, it's even better. If you're retired and you sold your home and you're traveling around Canada, hey, why not, right? Something to think about. I'm not going to do it because I can't afford it. If I could afford to leave, I would probably sell the house and move to Florida or someplace like that, nice and warm and nice and conservative, or Texas. I like Texas. Although Texas, there's a lot of snakes. Florida, there's a lot of things that can kill you too, though. But anyway, it's kind of all I really had to talk about. Well, I could talk about a lot more things, obviously. Like it's better to be the 51st state than the 23rd province of China, that kind of thing. I think, but you know what? If this initiative goes forward in Alberta, there's going to be mass migration all across Canada, not just what I was suggesting about conservatives coming to Alberta and maybe even BC and Saskatchewan, but a bunch of Liberals leaving because they won't want to separate. And I don't think Alberta really needs that help. They might need a little bit of help with Conservatives moving there, but BC definitely needs some help. Not so much outside of the Lower Mainland. Obviously, we saw the map, right? Bring the map up again. Well, you get outside the Lower Mainland, and you've got yourself a lot of blue, and the dark blue, definitely, and the mid color blue. That's definitely a lot of people in there who would vote for freedom over what we have now. So there's that thought there. Yeah, would it be sad if it actually did happen? Because, I mean, obviously we're losing, I don't know, we're not really losing anything, we're gaining anything, but the thought of Canada, the idea of being a country, yes, that is something that we'd have to think about. So where would you guys all like to go? Hello, Kelly. Texas keeps its oil money. Why couldn't Alberta if it were free? They could, actually, Kelly. Yeah. So let's see here. Is anybody saying where they would like to go? Andre says New Mexico. Brian says Arizona. Anybody else chiming in on if they had an opportunity? I think staying here would be fine if we were either our own country or we were part of the U.S., to be honest with you. But leaving to go south to retire might be good as well. If I could, just if it happens that we do make that change, if it comes to fruition, then really don't really have to move, do you? Like we consider it now because of all of the crap that's going on, all our economy in the dump, not being able to afford anything, not being able to keep our property and whatnot. So yeah, it's kind of one of those things. Where would you want to go? But if it came to pass that we did join the U.S., well, you really don't have to. You could come to sunny Vancouver Island and be happy, or not. It's all up to you, I guess. But yeah, we got people saying that they would love Montana, Idaho, New Mexico, Arizona. Yeah. Texas. I love Texas. Too hot for Kenzie. Florida and Texas, too hot. Well, you know what? You just drink a lot of water. Drink a lot of water. And that helps a lot. Hello, Joseph. Who else? Anybody else here that I haven't actually acknowledged, that I haven't said hello to? Diane F. I think that's about the only one. Going back here. If I missed anybody, I apologize. And of course, if you're not in the chat, well, then I don't know that you're there. 4for1 Alpha. Hello, how are you? It's a prison island. I don't know. Is it? Wyoming. Smitty said he'd go to Wyoming. Michael Kennedy. Bragg Creek looks nice. Yeah. Going back to Alberta. Overheat. Outer heat, sorry. How are you today, this evening? So that's kind of what I had stored. I wish I had had a bit more time. I would have liked to roll a little bit of a clip from PBD, or Viva Frei was on another channel as well talking, and then there was a press conference from the cabinet room. I think that Trump's the first president who actually is letting people in the cabinet room, letting reporters in the cabinet room. That's very interesting. So there was a reporter and who was asking about, why Trump didn't like Polyev, and and it came out. It's sounding more and more like he wanted Carney to win, and I think that that's because he really thinks that Carney is a pushover. There's talk that because of what Carney did for his son-in-law, that maybe there's a connection there. I don't know. That's just speculation. Was Trump even involved in that? I don't know. Was Donald Trump even involved in that? So we don't know the extent of that. It is fishy. It really does smell fishy. They, I think, do run in some of the same circles. Maybe they met on a plane to some island somewhere that they shouldn't have been going to. I don't know. It's possible. Although I think that Trump is an honest guy. Be honest with you. I think that he's an honest guy. But he just has that edge to him that people don't like, that Canadians don't like. And Canadians are freaking out without just cause. But that's just my opinion that I don't have anything to back up with. So I could be completely out to lunch there as well. I do believe, though, that he really loves the fact that Carney got elected, because he can push Carney around. And this does bring up this, we've been talking about it for months, and now in the last week, it's really exploded, this whole talk about Alberta separation, and with Danielle Smith making it easier. Well, you got to think that maybe this was part of the plan. You never know. It could be. It's something to consider. I think that it's very likely part of a long game that's being played. And I think that Carney and Trudeau before him will go down in history as Canada's last two prime ministers. That's just my thought. And that they'll go down in history as the people who killed Canada. Just my thought. I don't know. What do you guys think? I think I'm going to Roberta. This is somebody I haven't seen tonight before. Hello, Alberta. If Alberta leaves, Canada would adjust. Hopefully Pierre would get in. I don't know. I think that if Alberta leaves, it's good that the rest of the West will go with Alberta, because there's not enough Conservatives in the rest of Canada to really help out and bring a good conservative government to into the fold. I think it's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. So let's just take a look here. What's everybody saying? So I heard this too, Zawalik, Mr. Zawal. Excuse me. I'm terrible with names. You heard that Carney his first interview was with the BBC. So he snubs even the CBC. You know, he lived in Great Britain for such a long time. I think that it is obviously a problem that he goes to foreign media first, especially now that he is the elected prime minister. So what does that tell you about the guy? He's a foreigner, and he sees himself as a foreigner. He sees himself as a European. He said that right off the bat. And he wants to make further connections with China. So I'm surprised he didn't go on Chinese media, whatever that is. I don't know what that is, but I'm surprised that wasn't his second call to Chinese media. Should he have gone on the CBC first? Well, who cares about the CBC? Hello, Roll the Dice. I don't think I said hello. Maybe I did. CTV is a little bit better than CBC. I don't see them as being much better, but I prefer watching them over the CBC. Francois Norman Lagroix, hello. I don't think I said hello before. Yeah. Is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about? Just put it down before I pull the plug here. Just going back in some of the comments. A lot of what we can say has been said really this week. It's been blowing up like crazy. All of the podcasters, all of the commentators, they're all saying really the same thing. How they're disappointed, and how Alberta is basically made it easier to separate. And they're all talking about it. Even the people who've not talked about it in the past are now talking about it, bringing it up. Is Alberta going to separate? I think that the vote will be, I don't think it's even going to be close. I think that it will get to a referendum, and I think the referendum will be to separate. And I think that will come sometime in the fall, hopefully before or during the municipal elections out there. Hello, Dwayne. I don't think I said hello yet. Yeah, the Republic. So who's going to be our first president of the Republic of Western Canada? Will it be Danielle Smith, or will it be Pierre Poilievre? Who knows? Yeah, Pierre should come back to Alberta and help us separate. That'd be cool. Will he be the first prime minister, though, or first president? What kind of system are we going to have? I think that we'll be a republic out west. I don't think that we will stay in the Commonwealth. I think that we will go republic. But what would happen to the national debt? Kenzie asks. Well, I don't think that Alberta should share, or BC or Saskatchewan should share in the national debt, because they've been net contributors and they haven't seen anything from it. Matter of fact, I think that it would almost be better for Canada to pay out Alberta and BC. But that's not going to happen either. I think it'll just be, here you go. You're out. We don't owe you anything. You don't owe us anything. And then we're gone. But it's almost like they owe, Ottawa owes us. because of how much we spent, and not just Alberta, BC as well. BC's been in, the position of paying for, transfer payments being a net, in a net deficit, I guess is how you would put it. So what else? I saw something else up here. No, I think that's about it. Yep. Oh, Kelly asked, what about the far north territories? Well, I think the Northwest Territories, the Yukon, and Nunavut would become territories of the U.S. And I covered this a little bit in my last couple of videos. I think that they don't have enough people to become states, but they would be territories if Alberta, Saskatchewan, and BC, possibly Manitoba, formed the country of Western Canada, Republic of Western Canada, whatever it is. Then I would say that the territories would come with us, but they would remain territories because they just don't have the population to be states. And if we all went to the U.S. as states, they would be territories as well. And I talked about this a little bit in my other videos about how, maybe even my live streams, about how the West could be states. Even though BC would come across as a Democrat state, it would be balanced with Alberta and Saskatchewan being Republican states. And really, the interior of BC is Republican, would definitely be Republican. So there's that. It would probably be a swing state. And with going to the U.S., with all the migration east-west that would happen, I think that BC would turn solid blue, or in the case of being a U.S. state, would be a solid red state. I absolutely believe that would happen with migration because of Liberals leaving and Conservatives moving to the West. I think the same thing would happen with Manitoba if they came with us. They would, although they are blue right now, they are often quite orange and red. So, I think that the migration factor would help. And then if we did join the U.S. instead of just being our own country, there would be a lot of Republicans moving north for the jobs. I could see the populations of Alberta, Saskatchewan, and British Columbia increasing by 25 to 50% within 5 years because of the boom in the economic boom that would bring us, and the development of the resources in the resource sector. And then also manufacturing, because right now, how much manufacturing do we have out west? Most of it still happens in Ontario. Well, I think there would be a great opportunity to build up our manufacturing sector so that we're not just resource sector. But I think that is a real possibility. The migration, not only east-west, while we're doing this transition, if it happens, because nothing's for sure, but if it did happen afterwards, there will be a migration north-south as well. That's just the way I see it. These are, of course, just speculation. Hello, Mandy. I don't think I said hello yet. How are Daniel's words not treason? Well, she didn't say anything treasonous. She just made it easier for people to voice their opinions, voice their choice. Cornelius, how are you tonight? Gladly move to Alberta or BC if it became a state. You would be welcome. And Smitty said that it would be a major boom to the economy. It would definitely be a major boom to the economy. Getting back to Mandy's statement here, I don't know why people consider this to be a treasonous. It's not treasonous. It's the will of the people. Treasonous is when you do something to undermine the the lawfully installed government or lawfully elected government. This is not that. This is expressing your opinion and moving forward through a democratic process. That's what this is. There's nothing treasonous about it. I know a lot of people think that way, but it's not. There's nothing treasonous about it. This is democracy, and democracy at its best when they allowed, and the way Danielle Smith said it, it's direct democracy, allowing people to better access to direct democracy. Hello, Patricia Ann. How are you tonight? That's the way I see it. Hello, Ken. Tony, I don't think I said hello. I've kind of run out of my rants for tonight. A little bit tired, actually. I've been sitting in front of these computers making too many videos. I got to get outside, do some work on the lawn, and do some work, around the, more work on the house. So I don't expect any videos tomorrow unless something catches my eye that I have to make a comment about, because I'm just that kind of guy. So I guess I'm just going to call it for tonight. I wish everybody a great rest of your week, a great weekend coming up. I think it's supposed to be sunny here. I have to check the weather again because it changes all the time, but I think it's supposed to be sunny, and it should be good. And everybody take care. God bless. And if you're a liberal, bless your heart. We will see you next Thursday.
You've been watching the Northwest Cavalryman Show. Thank you for tuning in this evening. I hope you've enjoyed the content. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and share with your friends and on social media. May God bless you. And if you're a liberal crybaby, bless your heart. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next Thursday.